Hello! So we have the continuation of my fanboying of Academy new jets in 172 scale. This is the F-22A Air Dominance Fighter. I've just been enjoying these quick builds so much that I thought I would do another one, and I really wanted to give the stealth jets another go. So I've got my Edward mask, got the warning. This is a mask for this complex camo that the F-22 has, so quite excited to use something like this rather than try to freehand, and also just trying to get to grips with the different colors for these modern stealth jets. So that's an extra. The mask is an extra. In the box you get these two canopy options, which I think is awesome, because the F-35, the large Meng one that I got, only came in a clear, but in just looking at it in real world and photos, it either has a yellowish tint or a grey tint to it, which I tried to do with spray paint, but didn't work. So we get 1, 2, 3 sprues, a very fine cartograph decal sheet with American squadron markings, some help from Korea about how to do some scale modeling, and then got the actual instructions. Very similar to the other 1 in 72 scale models that I've done recently from them, and they've worked out really well. So yeah, this looks enjoyable. Just having a look around. Really love these the jet nozzles and how they're controllable rather than just the circular ones. Directional, I guess. Love the shape of the whole thing as well. I'm going to do it with wheels up, and I've got a small Airfix stand for this. Probably going to paint it black like that. It's a bit dusty, this one, but maybe just use a bit of primer and paint that black, which may stand out well against the stealth color. In terms of weapons for these F-22s, you just get some base AMRAAMs and the Sidewinders. Some fuel tanks on the side. I don't think it looks good with it. I'm just going to go for a sleek look. Doesn't tell you which one to go for, so I'm going to go the yellow and see how that looks when it's finished. And yeah, quite excited about it. Now, in terms of the painting, here's the paint scheme, and I'm going to use that. I think they look all the same, the paint schemes. And I'm going to use the mask that I've got there. It looks to be 1, 2, 3 colours, I think. Yeah, what have we got in the colour sheet? White, flat black, khaki, yellow, dull grey, clear green, flat white, burnt iron, I guess this is for the jets, clear blues and reds is just for nav lights, olive drab possibly for the interior, seat and so forth, light ghost grey, light grey, dark grey, metallic grey, so 4 different colours there. Just having a look at the plastic in itself, very similar to the other 1 in 72 models that I've done recently from Academy. Very nice looking sprues, no flash that I can see, good amount of detail without being overly over the top. I don't think I paid too much for this kit. I'll have to look up the price. But yeah, it all looks pretty basic. Big kind of main fuselage pieces, which means that it will go together fairly quickly. Yeah, just excited to get it going and see what it looks like. Just a little bit of clean up on the edge of the wing there, but otherwise you can see it's a whole top surface of the jet's pretty much already done for you. So I think the trick with this one will be the painting. We've done priming, so I used a black primer this time and let it cure for a few weeks actually, because I've just been lazy and been doing other things. So it's a little bit dusty. Just used a spray paint version of it. I've left the two Sidewinder missile bays open for now. That needs to be painted white, and this piece is actually clear plastic, but with the primer it looks, as you can see, quite black. So yeah, really quite pleased with how it's all come together so far. The only thing that I found in terms of the build that was a little bit dodge was this I think it's the refueling panel. You probably can't see it here, but it's a little bit raised, so above, but I've sanded it down, and the primer seems to have hidden any of the sanding marks, main sanding marks. I've gone for the yellow. Canopy, and that's fit really well. I've just put that down with some canopy glue, and I've left the cockpit black inside. We've got an Edward mask here. It's for the Fujimi kit, but this should hopefully work for this kit as well. So this, I think there's some wheels there, it seems to be, and then just these very angular shaped edges to the canopy. So grabbed that to help me out with that one. I love those things. Just with the paint job, we've got this massive camo mask from Jay's work. It seems to suggest that there's just two main colors for the airbrushing. However, I think just looking at some photos and having a look at the Academy instructions here, it seems to be that you've got on the underside two main colors, or three main colors there, just on the nose, and you have otherwise on the top coat, which is the coat with the most camo, it's the dark grey, the light grey, and then a lighter grey. So which is the same as what that light grey is what you've got around the canopy itself. So there's an argument that possibly you should do the canopy on its own. Anyway, too late for that now. But yeah, all the edges are done in this very light colour, and then the dark in the centre. So I think the plan is to use dark on the top, and then put the mask down, the medium grey, and then finally the light grey on those parts that remain, and mask it accordingly. So the bottom side I can pretty much leave. So that's actually the medium grey and the light grey. Okay, so no dark grey on the bottom, light grey, medium grey. So the nose is the light grey. Okay, so top coat, dark grey, mainly in the middle of the model and on the rudders. So that's the next job. In terms of displaying, I've got wheels up, and I've got a choice of one that I've painted before, which is a larger 1 in 48 and a smaller 1 in 72. I'll try to get that one. Here's the Jay's Work airbrush camo mask. What I like about it is it's full A4 size and the same size as the actual model, which is quite nice, so that you kind of can't stuff it up, but I'm sure we'll try. You've got these bits here which go on the these rudder bits, and otherwise I think we just follow it along, and I hope it's laser etched. We shall find out. I'll get a knife. Yep, it is pre-cut, which is great. This is D7, which goes in here. I'm just going to compare it to this photo as well. It's just off. I'm going quite close to the line so that we give ourselves some extra space at the front. It's adhering quite well. So what I've done is actually get the brush as well. Just to give it, just make sure that the dust is off it. So it's been sitting, the model's been sitting around for a while now. So we get that one on. What else have we got? Back tail bit. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm giving some space. So look like to these kind of octagonal border bits. Now that, I think I've just lost what's going on here. It's like that, is it? Okay. Looks kind of good. Just kind of make sure that the edges are down so that we don't get any bleeding into the camo. This might stay a while because it might be a while before I get to do some scale modeling again. So just because I've been lazy. So that is a shape like that. Good. Again, just a bit more pressure. I do have a feeling that the colours that we've been given aren't the best. So it's saying that it's light ghost grey, dark ghost grey, which is the same colour scheme as the Navy jets. What I'm afraid of is that it's just too light. In the photos that I've seen, it always looks fairly dark, and I think that's a bit to do with the stealth camo, but also just the jet itself looks, I mean, even in these photos it looks dark, doesn't it? It doesn't look like that light grey colour of a US Navy jet. It's an Air Force jet, obviously. So the outside, so D8 is on this side and D10 is on this side. So we'll do D10. And I wonder also, maybe that's to do with oils and things like that. So if you're good at doing oil camo, or the weathering, oil weathering, you might be good at and you might be good at making it darker. So that's what we'll try. Just noticing I'm going to have to be quite careful with the painting, that I paint down on it rather than sideways, because there's little gaps popping up here. Just sort of want to make it obvious to get some bleeding underneath. This is a big one. I'll do that last. It certainly does feel a little bit wasteful, the amount of masking we've got here, and I guess if I was any good I could probably use up a lot of these things to help with other masking, and that may be what I might do with it. Okay, so we've just taken the mask off from this J-Works airbrush camo mask, just for the top side of the F-22, and laid it down as best I could. Just gonna let that sit for a while and see if it lifts up, and then I'll just push down the bits that haven't. And we'll go over to the photo booth, not photo booth, the paint booth, and then hit it with the light grey. So this was dark grey that went down, so we'll hit it with the light grey and see how it looks. In terms of the other bits, I think we've got the light grey on the under, so that's the colour that it's going to be, is what I'm going to hit with the whole of the top side, and then we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with the edges after that. That might be the really fiddly bit, which is probably why I've left this model for a while now. So back to it with the decals. So these are from Cartograph, which are generally excellent decals. I've got some paper towel, some earbuds, a small pot of water, lukewarm, a knife, scissors to cut decals, and 2 tweezers to help me move things around. Generally helpful also is just a wooden toothpick to also help move things around. Today I'm going to use Microsol Microset, and let's just try to remember how this works actually. Softens decals to conform to irregular surface. Soften decals and improves adhesion. So I think you put set first and then sol afterwards. I think. Let me do that. Let me go. I'll go 1 and 2. 1. 2. And if I screw it up, I can just move them across. These I think are just the general decals. And then the choice here of Squadron. AK is the one I've seen a lot of, I think. Which I think is in Alaska. So that would be cool. I'll give that one a go. I might start off with the general decals first, and then can do the unit ones at the end. just left this one sitting for a little bit too long. Just typical of doing decals. Always try to set it down as well as possible to begin with. I'm just going to put all the bits back in here because they tend to fall out and spill if you don't take too much care. These are quite glossy, which I'm quite surprised about. But I think it really adds to the grey. That's obviously off a little bit, but so that's that one. Right, what else have we got? Do these silver ones next. One thing I try to do is take off the number after I figured out which one it is. This says right, so that'll be that one there. Just so that it doesn't come with the carrier when you put the decal down. We'll just prepare the spot. This is the second one. Try not to get them mixed up. And so far these are excellent. So far it picks up off the carrier film really easily. It's laying down really easily and well, and can be moved around quite well. So that is typical of cartograph. At times, different brands will say, oh, wait 10, 20 seconds for decals to lift. And in my experience, it's much quicker on a good quality one. The poor quality ones, you tend to need to wait longer. And so let's see if this one will lift. I say this now, no, this needs more time. But yeah, that's generally my experience, is that it's just easier to work with these things and takes out the stress of a lot of the model making, which I think is much more enjoyable than having challenging, really thin decals which rip and tear and yeah, just kind of kill the fun, really. Next one. What I've enjoyed about the whole shades of grey business is generally you really know if you've done an okay job if the decals are standing out against the colour that you've put down. You know that you've done it wrong if the colour, there's not enough colour tone variation from the decal, which is supposed to be a highlighting colour, off the stuff that you've painted down. So actually I'm pretty happy with this, and I was thinking potentially with some oils that maybe that will give it more that sheen that you see, that that metallic sheen that you see that these jets have in photos and footage. Anyway, we'll continue and probably catch up on the other side. So I've placed most of the top decals down now. Just use this to point out. I've missed these big squares a bit. They're not exactly sitting right, but all these little mesh looking things are really nice. I think they're just a fantastic way of helping someone get that texture into a model which is basically grey, and just to have so many different shades of grey to give it a different shape and feel. So I am glad that I put these down, and it suddenly makes a bit more sense in terms of the pattern, the 3 colour of grey paint, and then having this extra nuanced greys and blacks over the top to give it, to pop a bit more. And it would have been much harder to mask all these little bits off and paint them separately. So I thank Academy and Cartograph for doing that. For a beginner modeler, I think it's excellent that they've actually left indents where the decal should sit, without, this one notwithstanding, but these 2 diamond shaped ones, there is a recess that the decal can just go to, and you can kind of use the toothpick and just kind of poke it around until it sits inside the square box, if you like. Which I think is just a great way of doing things, especially if you're new to decals, you're new to model making, something like that. You kind of can't get it wrong, in the sense of you're not putting it in the wrong place, which sometimes can happen with other models, where you're guessing at the spot, and by the time you look at the picture and back into the spot again, you've recognized that, I was, like half a meter away from where it should be, and it's by that time too late because you've already put the setting solution down. Not so in this case, which is really, really good. I might take a break now and then do the reverse side underneath and get some decals there. This is pretty manky looking under here because I've done wheels up, and a lot of this is the scratches from the paint stand that I've got. It's just a circular stand with a lot of old paint that's sitting on it that's picked up when there's been a bit of poly on it as the clear coat poly. Still got some ejection decals to go on as well, and then make a decision whether or not I want to put the USAF on there, or I might put a RAF roundel just because I can. So decals are all down now. Again, I mentioned how I really like the way they've done it in terms of these mesh areas here. The intakes look pretty real, even though all it is a decal on a sunken grill. There's no metal etching kind of material there at all. We've got the greys on grey. I've put on really more like a navy Australian RAF off some decals I had for a growler, so I want it. I've put 306 on there. I've got the roundel, another roundel, the serial number, the 6 Squadron, lightning bolt, Australian flag, and the RAF roundel on the front as well. Just a bit of fun, really. I'll give this hit with clear coat now and let it rest for a couple of days. I might just have a go at taking away some of this dust. Sometimes you just need to scratch it off a bit, and that's just dust that's gathered on top of a clear coat, and see how we go. I think part of this will be around getting a bit of an oily finish. As I said before, the oily finish I think will help with that stealth look. So I'll try that first, and then I'm gonna try we'll use some oils that come with some of the panel marking kit that I've got, an oil streak, using the oils in the material, rather than the normal. I think it's like enamel based panel line marker. Other things to do is the nozzles. I need to hand paint a different colour, and obviously remove the canopy mask when we're done. One other bit is just the mounting of the underside. I think I'm going to use, what is it? I've got this little clear base here, which I'll just glue somehow onto the bottom. Find the center area, what is it called? That bit where I've forgotten my words, but the bit where it just kind of will sit naturally, and then we'll have it flying like this with the wheels up, and just see how that looks on the desk. Center of gravity, that's what I was looking for. So I've put down decals, we've let it dry for a couple of days. Just tried my hand again at some of the MIG weathering gear. So we've got the oil brusher, the panel line wash. We've got some Tamiya accent panel. We've got the thinner. I tried a bit of Mr. Color leveling thinner as well. And I've just had a go at the back of the model, and we've had a bit of a disaster. So I use this brush, a bit of the oil streaker on the back here, and then I tried using a bit of the thinner, and these thinner as well, and what's happened is a lot of it's just come away. A lot of the paint's just come away from the actual model, which may look nice, I guess, if there are some weathering effects that you want to do, but what I was hoping for was to put this brownish color down and then just be able to take it away, and leaving kind of these items in here like filled in a bit and help it pop with the accent. Similarly over here, I've just used the Tamiya panel line accent marker in the hope that it would fill in the detail, and then I'd just be able to wipe either with just straight dry wipe it off. I tried a bit of water, I tried a bit of the thinner, and the thinner again starts taking away the paint, so I didn't really want to continue with that. Weathering is one of these things where I just haven't got it down right at all, and I kind of get scared off because so much work has gone into the painting of this model, you know, with the multiple different paint schemes and the masking and all that, all to be ruined when you try to do a bit of these weathering effects. So yeah, it's a real pity. I need to really do some more research. I keep saying it all the time, but I really do, because this hurt when it just started coming away. And so I tried to do it on the underside just because I knew that, you know, if it didn't work out here, then I wouldn't touch the top of it. I'm not really happy with the color anyway, but I don't really want to just go kind of totally ruining this model. I'm going to take off the mask and see what that shows. Just going to use this one and probably call it a day on this model. Heaps of mistakes, heaps of learning points. One of the big ones is just putting on that base didn't work because the model fell over again. I think what I need to do is cut a groove in the future for where the stand is going to sit, and when I cut that groove, then, you know, to experiment with how it's going to actually sit down on the ground, because what we've got at the moment is the wing, this wing here touches, and as nice as it is at this angle, it just doesn't look quite right when we sit it down. So that's a problem. The other thing I've noticed with paint is you can probably see just on these edges here where my hands, I generally hold the model here while I'm playing with it. And that was probably a good indication of how poorly the paint sits on the primer that I had. Is that the primer's good, primer does its job, but the paint is not sticking to the primer. So that's something to look at. I think the primer I used on this was the spray can from Mr. Color. So what I might try next time is a different brand and just see what difference that makes. This is the yellow canopy that I've put down. So far looking pretty good, actually. This is the yellow canopy rather than, it comes with a grey canopy as well. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. But overall, the build of this model was really good. Putting it all together was really nice and easy. Great entry-level model. The mask that I got was excellent. I think the main downfall was looking at pictures online and looking at a lot of footage. The jet itself is a lot more metallic than a US Navy jet, which is basically the color scheme that we've gone for. It's much more metallic, it's much darker. So in the future, I'm going to look and try, and I've said this before, but try to find more metallic paint or metallic colored paint. I've just gone and put a bit of this stuff on the tailpipes just to see what it looks like. But really, it probably needs a bit of this metallic grey, XF 56. So I might just mix this up and put this on next, just to see what that looks like. Yeah, all in all, a great model to put together. Fit and finish is pretty good. What's lacking is really my skill in terms of the paint, in terms of how to do the painting, what type of paint I'm using. Decals are excellent. Went down really well, fit really well, easy to move around, didn't rip any, I don't think. So yeah, so still a lot to learn, but you know, quite fun along the way. And just with the weathering here, if you wanted to go with these extreme effects, awesome, but I didn't. The black, I think this was a deep grey, actually looks brown on the jet, so that's probably not that great. Probably would have been better off with the Black Knight, but I didn't touch that. I used the Tamiya black as just kind of streaking, but not in a way that I like. So it's just about experimenting more with weathering, which I have never really done. I've always really just left it at this stage where I'm comfortable, but I think I need to stretch. So I've tried something, didn't work, do some reading, find out a bit more, and try better on the next model. So just the last few words on the F-22 Raptor from Academy 172 scale. Really good model to put together, really good as a beginner model, I think, just to learn how to put things together in terms of the basic skill set. The plastic's really good. The model pretty much came together very, very quickly, and it's just a lovely jet to look at, I think. It's just a great design, and so in terms of putting it together into the model, it just helps, doesn't it, when it's a nice design. So all the errors you see are me, and it's all my fault. This stand is an Airfix stand that I tried to get on here. I think if I was to do it properly next time, is to get the angle right, because currently it sits on this wing here, which is no good. But otherwise, it's an interesting angle to kind of show some kind of flight or movement, I guess. The decals are really nice from Cartograph, no complaints. I used a couple of masks. One is canopy mask and also a mask for the camo, which I think worked really well. What didn't work well in terms of the paint was just there's a lot of masking on here other than those purchased masks. So these leading edges, the nose and things like that. A lot of masking work on there, and I think let down by the fact that I don't think these colors are right. I think it needs to be, I need to do some more research in terms of which colors are right for this jet. From looking at a lot of the footage, it's metallic or more metallic and darker than it is here. I mean, this looks really more like a die-cast model, I would say, rather than a scale model that someone's put together by hand. So there's that. I tried my hand at a bit of weathering, had quite a bit of a fail with it. A lot of the thinner that I used just ate away at the paint. So I think it's important to just look back again, find out exactly what I should be doing with my layers. And I know I say it all the time, but I've just got to be better at it, because this is horrible. Whatever's happening here. This is me using the Tamiya panel line wash and trying to wipe it away afterwards with either the X20A thinner or the X20 thinner, and the X20 thinner just starts eating away at the paint. The A was okay, but it just seemed to kind of dull it out a little bit, but it didn't remove it. So I don't know whether or not it's because it's adhering to the type of clear coat that I've put down, which is a poly clear coat from MIG, I think it was this time, or what. So I've really got to kind of dial that in and figure out what the hell I'm doing with paint, because this is horrible. And so I didn't continue it over to the other side. I think I'll just leave it for now and get on with another model. But in terms of having an F-22 model, this is great. I've really enjoyed it. I like looking at it. It's a lovely sleek model. These new jets today are just, yeah, fantastic. I'd love to see one for real. And of course, just a bit of fantasy with the RAF decal. But yeah, all in all, I would recommend this model to anyone to have a go if they're trying their hand at a stealth model. I think I'm going to try to do a lot more stealth models in the future, especially just to kind of get that painting down. You know, the paint is a special new thing. These are the jets of today and the future. So we'll be building these and painting them for a lot longer in the future. So I'm looking forward to getting more competent at it. And this is really the first go of an F-22, so I'll be fascinated to see how I go in the next few models.